Hello, I'm Daniel Sketchler.
And I'm Callum Byrne.
We've been friends for more than 10 years, sharing lifelong passions such as film and music,
But most importantly, football, through the ups and the downs.
the celebration and the heartbreak.
However, he's a blue nose.
And he's a villain.
This is the Second City Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the very first in-person edition of the Second City Podcast. I'm here with Callum, my name's Daniel, and yeah, here we are in the studio in Bronx Grove, Callum's home for Christmas.
Yeah.
So yeah, we thought let's get on it, do one in person.
We've been setting up for about an hour, so hopefully this has all worked out.
Yeah, hopefully you're seeing this and hearing this.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah.
I think we should say, if you are listening on Spotify, if there's one to watch on YouTube, today is the day.
Callum's saying that because he edits the Spotify version as well. Sorry,
No, I don't.
Sorry, Callum said he edits the YouTube version. He's trying to get his numbers. But no, you are right, to be fair. How have you been, though? Good Christmas?
Really good Christmas. Seen lots of family, lots of driving, but yeah.
Lots of drugs, I thought you were going to say.
No. Lots of alcohol, maybe too
Fair.
much beer, but
Cool.
yeah, just ready to see you in the new year.
Yeah.
We've got our party on Sunday.
Our part, yeah. So,
We're all there.
yeah, should be good.
But what about yourself? How was your Christmas, Dan?
Yeah, it's nice, yeah, very chilled. Very chilled. We were here just at home for a lot of it and then went round to Martin and Uncle's in the evening. And then, yeah, very chill. Well, see, in my opinion, Boxing Day is the one. Like, I love Boxing Day.
Yeah.
But, obviously, I had to go to Blues this Boxing Day, and that really soured. So just for like it got to like half time, and I was like, I just want this. I just want to go home, stick something.
A normal Boxing Day for you is just sitting in front of the telly, 4 kickoff times, Very Blues on the radio, and they took away your 4 kickoff times and ruined your day.
More or less. Yeah, but we'll get onto that later.
Yeah.
Everything either side of the game on Boxing Day was good, but the actual. But yeah, should we explain a little bit about this episode? Then going to be a little bit different.
Yes. Yeah. So normally we would do what we're wearing, and then we'll talk about the games that have been, maybe a bit of housekeeping, and the games that are going to come up. That is not what we're doing today. So obviously, as we just mentioned, the new year is around the corner. So we're going to summarise 2023. We have only been podcasting for about half of that, but we're still going to talk about the year as a whole. All sorts of things like the best game, the best goal, player of the season, maybe even our best 11 of the season.
Yeah.
We're going to do a combined team. We'll be here all day.
And that would cause uproar, I'm sure, in a second. So.
Yeah.
Sure. I could put in
It was all Villa players. And then,
sadly.
but there's one feature that we normally do that we are still going to do, which is what we're wearing, Dan.
Yep. And this is probably worth saying as well, because the games are coming so thick and fast at the minute. Like, we're recording this on the 28th.
Yeah.
We kind of thought by the time we get this, if we spend ages talking about the games just gone, we'll touch on them briefly, but by the time we get this out, there'll have been another game and then another, and it just felt like doing a whole episode as normal kind of felt a bit weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we thought we'd do this instead, year in review.
Year in review.
But yes, what we're wearing.
Yeah. I can see you got a new shirt for Christmas, Dan, because you've been talking about the shirt for a while, and there it is.
Nice easy one for you this week.
Yeah. Would that be the 2023-24 third kit?
It is, and this is the first third shirt I've ever owned. Is it? I've never owned a third. I've owned
You've never really had that many.
No, I've got a few that were away kits and then became the following season's third kit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yes, so this is the black number. Easily my favourite of the 3 kits. Not too much to say really. Obviously, this is the incumbent kit. This season's kit. But yeah, really nice blackout one. It has actually got more of a sort of pattern to it when you look at it up close on the shoulders and stuff. And obviously, this season is we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Great season.
Have you won a game in that kit yet?
No, I don't think we have. Because we've only won 2 away games this season, and they were Cardiff and
Bristol
City. I think we won the home one against Bristol City. We must have won the home one, and then the red one with the black pattern against Cardiff. Yeah, obviously this is the first Rooney era kit, because I'm pretty sure was revealed after Rooney came in.
Yes, because we talked about those just miraculously lining up.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, obviously the season's not quite panning out as I'd hoped. But I'm sure we'll get into that week by week as we go on. But nice kit nonetheless. So yeah, 23-24 third shirt. and I know what you're wearing
Yeah.
because I saw the season details open on your laptop.
Yeah.
When I was trying to sort the tripod out. And I'd know it anyway, though.
Yeah. It's probably one of the more famous kits for the Cross City.
Yeah, so you're wearing the 2002-3 home.
2002-3 home. I love this shirt. This is like the V-neck with the like claret and blue cuffs. I think it's a gorgeous shirt. And I think if they did a modern remake of this shirt, it would look spectacular as well. No betting sponsor, got a rover on the front of it. Like,
Yeah.
what a throwback shirt, really.
Very Birmingham.
And 2002 doesn't seem that, like, to think that like Rover were sponsoring football shirts in 2002-3, like they went bust like a few years later.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, great shirt, terrible great shirt, crap season.
But yeah,
Here we go.
got a heard of.
Yeah.
Sad bit of trivia for you here. That is the last time we finished above you.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Even in the championship, we still finished above you. Yeah, because you were in relegation battles, so yeah.
Which is mad. 20 years ago. It's crazy. But yeah, obviously that's the year we did the incoming season. Our first year in the Premier League, so we did the double over here.
It's just famous for the incoming season and the Dion Dublin Robbie Savage headbutt moment. Really.
Just fantastic.
I
wish I'd been a bit older for all that stuff. Wish I remembered it a bit more clearly. But
yeah, I'm glad I don't really remember this era at all. You know, we finished 16th, third cup of the FA Cup, but we did get to the quarter-final of the League Cup, semi-finals, the Intertoto.
cool.
Dion Dublin scored 10 Premier League goals, 14 in all comps. So, Graham Turner's the manager. I wouldn't have known that without checking.
I think that was like his second spell, wasn't it? It came back for like maybe just this one season.
Yeah, I just look back at some of the players in this era.
Yeah.
When
Future Blues legend Ulysses de la Cruz.
yeah, can't wait for the Second City story on him. But there is one bit of trivia I have about this kit. A current Premier League manager would have worn this shirt. Well, they might not have played in the first team, but they were certainly signed. They were certainly in the first team this season. Current Premier League manager.
No.
Do you want a clue?
No, maybe not.
Chris Wilder.
No, that's a good question. It's not going to be Hodgson.
No, it's fair to say it'd be a younger manager.
Roberto De Zerbi. No, he's too young for that still, isn't he?
I think you're probably in the right age bracket.
Who's the Bournemouth manager?
Iriola.
Yeah.
It's not him. But it
What
was.
is it? An international manager?
No, he manages in the Premier League.
Oh no, but I mean, like he's not.
No.
British.
No, he's a UK manager.
Gary O'Neill.
No, I'll tell you.
Luton.
Yes.
Oh wow, Edward. I didn't even know he played for. I didn't know that. That's right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
fun bit of trivia.
Nice.
That's better than anything you get out of a Christmas cracker.
Yeah, for sure. Sweet. Shall we have a quick talk then about the games that have happened since we last recorded?
Yeah.
So we're recording this on the 28th. So we're playing tomorrow night, playing Bristol City. Hasn't happened yet. Or alternatively, leave the right one in. What a great win against Bristol City. More likely you're going to need this edit instead. What a disaster. Nobody's been sacked. No, but yeah. Should we talk about... You've had 2 games since we last spoke anyway. Did you want to just quickly talk about them? Or
Yeah. I think back to the optimism pre-Christmas. We're running up to Sheffield United. You even said, oh, this must be a dream for you, Callum. You're playing bottom of the league. They're rubbish. To go top of the Premier League at Christmas. And everything went right other than our result for that game. Yeah, just one of those days. We had a lot of decisions go against us, I think it's fair to say. We should have had 2 penalties. And the goal for me should never have been disallowed, and I will die on that hill. It was a different phase of play, and I don't think anyone will ever be able to convince me otherwise that it wasn't a different phase of play. Foul on the goalkeeper? Yes. It's a different phase of play. But we also didn't lose the game. We have, for pretty much the entire season, we found a way to just get something out of games, whether that be a last-minute winner or a late goal to earn a point in a game that another Villa team would have lost. So it was still showing signs of this is the new Aston Villa under Unai Emery. So, if we'd have drawn to Arsenal and beaten Sheffield United, everyone would have gone, or drawn to Man City and beat Sheffield United, people would have been like, you know what, that's a good return from those games. It just happened the other way around. It's one of those. Annoyingly, obviously, Arsenal Liverpool did draw the day after, which meant that we would have been top on Christmas Day, which would have been really cool, because we haven't been top in about 25 years, which is kind of mad. But then Boxing Day, and I just spoke about this being a new Villa, the new Villa, where we don't do stupid things. This isn't like your classic Villa. Of course, we lost this game we were controlling. Unfortunately, we did find a way just to slip back into that. Yeah. There's been a lot of games this year where I've been really stressed watching them, and as I've said, been hiding behind the Christmas tree or pacing around the room. Whereas this wasn't that, because the first half we were the better team. Man United improved towards the later end of the first half, but we just kept catching them offside. So the ball would go over the top, and you go, right, he's offside. And so I was, 2-0 up at half time. We had Dendoncker in midfield, who I think everyone was a bit nervous about, although it's exactly what I would have done if I was Unai Emery. He got on the score sheet. Clement Longley was having a good game as well. Bearing in mind, he's barely played for us, but when he's come in, he's slotted in pretty well. But the second half was a disaster, an absolute disaster. And it was almost like everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Man United started the half really, really well. We just didn't get going. Mm-hmm. Their disallowed goal 2 minutes into the half. And I remember saying at the time, I was like, well, that's good that's happened, because that'll be the way Cullen need to just re-engage and get going again. And it didn't happen. They just kept going for us, and we just completely lost our way. We were panicking. We just kept giving the ball away. Whereas in parts of the first half, after we'd soaked up some pressure, we'd just have control the possession, just pass the ball around. And Alejandro Garnacho just completely tore us to pieces. And as predicted on this podcast a week and a half ago, Rasmus Højlund got his first Premier League goal. And that moment just took me back more than 10 years to that Federico Makeda last-minute goal when we were 2-0 up at Old Trafford and lost 3-2. Disaster. But, good and bad. I think the media have now written us off. Which is probably a good thing. That Boubacar Kamara red card against Brentford is haunting us quite badly. We miss Yuri Tielemans, who's injured. Pau Torres has been missing. We missed him as well. Jacob Ramsey's still trying to get back up to speed after bearing in mind he's missed pretty much a third of the season, really, with that recurring injury. Hopefully Luka Dean's injury is not too bad. So it's a bit subdued, bearing in mind, I'm going to the Villa in 2 days, and it's like, right, we've got to win, and let's just re-engage and go again.
Fair enough. Cool. So on the blue side, we played Plymouth on the 23rd, which feels like ages ago now. It's only been 5 days, but I didn't get to see the game and go. It was away, obviously, but frustrating, and I think it kind of summed up a lot of the Rooney era so far. That we were 2-0 up, and then Plymouth pulled a goal back because we made a silly defensive mistake.
Hard.
Yeah, and then we had a man sent off, which I thought was harsh. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't, no.
I thought it was harsh. He kind of does come off the ground a little bit, but I think context is important as well. It's not an aggressive challenge. It's not. I think the Plymouth players' reaction is probably what got him sent off.
Yeah.
But then we went and added a third goal. So you think, well, we're 3-1 up. I know we've had a man sent off, but we've shown what we're made of and added an extra goal. And of course, we end up drawing 3-3. Kind of sums up the Rooney era on the whole, just not being able to see games out and defensively very fragile. But then Boxing Day was the real story of the week, in my opinion. So we drew Plymouth, which was disappointing in the circumstances. But the last few games have been a lot more encouraging. We had, obviously, beat Cardiff, which was really positive. Lost to Leicester, but played well. Drew Plymouth. Thinking we're finally, hopefully, getting a little bit of momentum, even just a glimmer of something. And then the Stoke game on Boxing Day was crashing back down to earth. It was really poor. Really, really poor. We lost 3-1. for me, probably the worst performance under Rooney that I've seen. Worst performance of the season so far, if you ask me.
Yeah, and you just hit this weird sort of narrative as well, where you're playing Plymouth after their manager has just left to go to Stoke, and you played the two of them within like 3 days of each other.
Yeah, of course, and they were good to be fair, but I think we made them look good. Yeah, dreadful. But I might talk about the game a bit more in one of our topics later on.
Yeah,
It's not the best game or highlight of 2023.
no.
But yeah, it was. Other than the Rotherham game was terrible a few weeks ago, the Coventry away game was terrible, but this was like, for me, I think maybe it's because it came after something that felt a bit more positive. Yeah, it was dreadful, absolutely dreadful, and hopefully against Bristol City we end up getting some in because we really need. I think Rooney said that's the one upside is we got another game just a few days later to hopefully amend it. But yeah, that's what our week's been. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Cool.
There's nothing like the football to ruin your Christmas.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Shall we move into our 2023 year in review then? So, yeah, we thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about kind of our highlights of the year and kind of just summarise it in general and then look ahead to next year, basically reflect on where our respective clubs are now compared to 12 months ago. And we'll go through a series of topics. So, like, best game, favourite goal, best moment, player of the year, as we mentioned earlier. So, yeah, should we get into it?
Yeah, do you want to go first?
Sure. So, our first topic's going to be best game. So, yeah, the way it's going to work is obviously I'll pick my favourite Blues game, Callum will pick his favourite Villa game, and so on, and we'll alternate who goes first each time. Yeah, best games. We had a few to pick from. I mean, first of all, I guess maybe summarise the year, actually, summarise 2023 as a whole. Like, it's been a really significant year, I think it's fair to say. It's not been everything not hoped for. It's not been great, to be honest. We finished comfortably in the bottom half of the table again in 2022, and I think a lot of the good work from that season came in the first half of the season. We actually tailed off quite a bit in the second half of the year. But obviously the reason this year will really be remembered is for the takeover happening and Tom Wagner coming in and the whole sort of American era starting, basically. So it's a hugely significant time for the club. So I'd sum it up this way. I think off the pitch it's been a really good year. New owners coming in. St Andrews looks a lot better. The future looks really bright, if you know what I mean. We're already seeing incremental changes to Blues, and I think the summer was a really positive time in the start of this season. And it really starts to feel like we're going in a better direction. But on the pitch, it's been a real struggle still. As I mentioned, the end of last season wasn't great. I think going into like the end of February, we'd lost, I think it was 9 out of 12 or 9 out of 11 games. I mean, never really were in any danger of going down, but yeah, really tailed off and kind of, our limitations were quite clear. But then obviously after the takeover and Tom Wagner and Tom Brady and all that coming in, we started the season really well. We were, I think, 6th by the start of October.
Yeah, you were in the playoffs when Eustace got sacked.
Yeah, and then, Eustace gets sacked, and the whole Rooney thing's happened, and since then he's won 2 out of 13, and we're kind of back to exactly... In terms of on the pitch, it doesn't really feel like anything's changed, if you know what I mean. We're still struggling. I think we're 19th at the time we're recording, and we finished 17th or lower every year since 2017, so it still feels like things haven't changed in that sense. A lot of similarities to the Zola era and when Rabbit left and Zola came in, and so it feels really strange that history is repeating itself up to this point. 7 years later. Ironically, that was when the last owners came in 2016, so it feels like lessons haven't been learned as of yet, and so yeah, it's been a disappointment on the pitch, but I am hopeful for the future. I really hope the Rooney thing still works. Not fully convinced, if I'm honest, at this point in time. But yeah, it's been a struggle on the pitch. I think the future potentially could be bright, and I think in general the club's in a better place than it was 12 months ago. I tell you what, before we get into my favourite game, do you want to sum up Villa?
Yeah. It's funny actually when you just said so. Off the pitch has been a disaster. Off the pitch for you's been great, and on the pitch has been a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
I'd say we've been the opposite of that. On the pitch, we have been sensational in 2023, and it is. I mentioned it on the last podcast. I think I've done 10 games, got one more to do, so hopefully this doesn't ruin it. But every Villa game I've been to this year that I've seen in person, we've won, which is I think is about 10 games. So 10 wins out of 10 is really, really good going. Off the pitch, we've covered it a lot. The badge fiasco, what's going on with the North Stand, the fan advisory board stuff that's come out yesterday. The whole thing is a mess off the pitch, really. And changing of CEOs in the summer has really derailed a lot of stuff. Whether it's for the best or not, we just don't know. But on the pitch, started off well. We won on New Year's Day, and that just sort of set the tone. We did have a little bit of a bump, the draw at home to Wolves, the 3 losses in a row to Arsenal, Manchester City and Leicester, where we conceded, I think, 11 goals in 3 games, was such a crucial part of our year because that's what sparked the change. And that's where after that, our home run of 15 league victories in a row. And it was more than that in all competitions because we had that 1 defeat to Everton in the League Cup. Watkins, among a few players, found incredible form. We qualified for Europe, which was a pipe dream 12 months ago. Absolute pipe dream. We had a decent pre-season in America, although we did have big injuries. We lost Alex Moreno, Jacob Ramsey, and of course, Emi Buendia and Tyrone Mings had ACLs in the space of 3 days. But here we are at the halfway point. We're 3rd in the league. We've won 12, drawn 3, lost 4 with the joint high scorers in the league, which I think got eclipsed yesterday when Manchester City played. So I think we're the 2nd highest scorers in the league now. 3rd at the halfway point is more than we could have dreamed of. And despite this little bump in the road in the last week, we have been spoiled under Unai Emery in 2023. So here's to 2024.
Yeah, future's very bright. I think it says a lot about the differences in the mood between us when you're low promos, we have true Wolves at home.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. We'll get on to our first proper topic then, which is best game or favourite games. It's just favourite in general. And you can talk about maybe specifically when you went to, maybe if that's a different answer.
Yeah.
So with Blues, I kind of narrowed it down to 4 main contenders. So 2 of them were from the second half of last season and 2 of them were from this season so far. So the ones that I first picked out were we won 4-3 away at Swansea in February. Insane game. And I just kind of caught it on WM, leaving work. But to put it into context, we were 3-2 down going into stoppage time. Jukovic equalised. Any game where Jukovic scores a header, that means something. I mean, come on. It's like I'm getting that tattoo.
Yeah.
And then 97th minute, Austin Trusty scored a header from corner. Outrageous, just absolutely outrageous. Winning 4-3 away reminded me of, even though the order of the goals was completely different, it kind of reminded me of when we won 4-3 at QPR a few years ago. I think it was in 2019. So yeah, that seemed like an insane game and I wish I'd been there. Then the next week, we beat West Brom 2-0 at home. That was a really special game and was seriously in contention for my favourite game of the year. In that game, Hannibal scored a wicked free kick where he sort of caught the keeper out and bent the ball around the wall and caught him the ball in the bottom right-hand corner as he looked at it. And then Bielik scored a header in the second half. Friday night game, beating... Obviously, we're not in the same league at the minute, so West Brom, in my opinion, is our biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a really special night. Friday night, I went with my uncles and a couple of my cousins and stuff. Yeah, just great night all round. The first home game of this season against Leeds is a terrible game, but kind of the surrealism of the takeover was really starting to kick in and the positivity was so insane. And obviously Tom Brady was there, which is kind of mad. Rubbish game playing against newly relegated Leeds, but get a penalty in the 91st minute, I think it was, and Jukovic scores it. I mean, as I say, I'll take just an amazing moment, and the feel-good factor was insane, and the fireworks going off. It was it's kind of a shame that the season stopped lived up to it. But my favourite game of 2023 was actually the second time we played West Brom at home this year. That was in October. and we beat them. We beat West Brom 3-1, and it was really between that and the other West Brom game. But this one, I think, was actually John Eustace's last game in the end. I'm not sure why specifically this one was better. I think maybe because we were 1-0 down.
It had the fireworks.
Had the fireworks, and they went off. This was the game where it went off in front of us in the Tilton as well, and that was amazing. Yeah, just great vibe, just a great night. To go 1-0 down and then turn it around by half time. Got very lucky, bit of a dodgy penalty, we got awarded. And I think it weren't my goal of the year, but the Gary Gardner free kick to make it 3-1, see it at the end in front of the Tilton. I think it's noble for Gary Gardner was going to score that, come on. So that was just a great moment to cap it off. And yeah, kind of the last time I was happy as a Blues. Yeah, and so that's why my game of the year, the 3-1 against West Brom, was my favourite game. So yeah. How about you?
There's quite a few to choose from.
Settle in.
There is quite a few to choose from. I mean, there's games that you go to which mean a lot. So Arsenal at home this season, not last season. Brighton at home on the last day of the season where we qualified for Europe. I did Leicester away, which was insane. That was an amazing away day. But I think I have to go for Manchester City at home from only a few weeks ago. And I was really trying to make sure I wasn't clouded by recency bias. But that is the best I've ever seen an Aston Villa team play. And it was against one of the best teams maybe we've ever seen in football. Yeah, I mean, a game where we only won 1-0 and it was a deflected shot, but we dominated the game. Manchester City had nothing. They had 2 shots. That was in the 11th minute, one after the other. And yeah, the game that I really wish I'd been to, and be a regret for a long time that I never went to that game. But it was also, you get a different perspective when you watch on the telly, and I think, to really understand the shape of how the game has gone, to watch on the telly. It was a special game to watch live anyway. So I think it has to be that one.
Fair enough. Shall we move on then to best goal, favourite goal that we scored this year? Do you want to go first this time?
Yeah, again, we've got a few. Coutinho at home versus Arsenal in the 4-2 was a great move and a great goal. I loved Ollie Watkins' goal against West Ham at the early part of this season. But I did touch on Leicester away last year. And so I'm going to go for Bertrand Traore's winner in that 2-1, where it's like the 90th minute and Wilfred Ndidi, we've got a bit of an attack and it breaks down. Wilfred Ndidi just passes it into nowhere and Bertrand Traore just curves his runner, just smacks it first time into the top corner right in front of us. And that, my away day record, as you well know, is awful. Yeah, dreadful. And so a last minute winner, that was insane. And a player that was a forgotten man, shipped out to Turkey under Gerrard. Yeah, special goal. Last minute winner, and it was a cracker as well.
Fantastic. Well, no, not fantastic. I wish none of those.
Yeah.
But no, nice. My favourite goal, I've got a few. I mentioned the Gary Gardner free kick against West Brom. I think just for the moment of it and kind of, of all the people, it would have been my last pick to score a goal like that. But yeah, that was a great moment. What else have I got written down? Hannibal's free kick against West Brom I mentioned as well. Hannibal was unreal. I know that's not one of the...
I think the thing with that one though is the wall did half the work for you.
Yeah, very right. You know what I did? I was trying to think of best goal and I was I didn't even write any others down. I put Scott Hogan against West Brom as well. That one mad counter-attack goal.
Yeah.
And I was yeah, that's the best goal. But then I realised that was 2022. So I didn't even think about this category for ages. But no, my favourite goal, I think the best goal was this season in August, Jay Stansfield against Plymouth, which I think we talked about it at the time, where he was in the last minute, we were drawing 1-1, and Eustace was still in charge, and the ball's come to Stansfield on his debut, and he's flicked the ball over the defender's head and then volleyed it.
And his dad was Exeter through and through.
Yeah, he was, yeah. A pretty special goal for him on his debut, 96th minute, announcing his arrival at Blues. Incredible moment. So that would be my favourite goal, 2020. I think the best goal the Blues scored in 2023.
Nice. So if we think to the summer transfer window, or maybe even the January transfer window as well, who would you say the best signing of 2023 was?
I've got a few jotted down.
Was it Tyler Roberts?
It wasn't Tyler Roberts, despite his amazing return to the pitch on. I'll get onto it later, but there was a point on Saturday, on Boxing Day, where Blues were playing Ollie Burke and a half-fit Tyler Roberts up front, and I was like, what has happened to my club? And no, it's not Tyler Roberts, although give him time, hopefully. We did, even though this season's not quite working out, we have made some good signings. The best signing probably has been Jay Stansfield. He's definitely our biggest goal threat. Obviously, the biggest shame is he's on loan. I think you can kind of sum up what a good signing he's been by the fact that if we lost him now in this January window for whatever reason, we'd really notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scored some great goals. He plays. I really like his sort of energy, and he's got a bit of fight about him. So yeah, hopefully, I'm sure touch wood, he'll be here till the end of the season and see him continue to grow at Blues. But honourable mentions, I think Ethan Laird has been fantastic. The only shame is he's injured quite a lot. Siriki Dembele, not quite been on it as recently, which I think stops him being in serious contention. But I do really like him. I think he's got a big future. If we can work out, I think if the team improves, I think he'll improve. And Koji Miyamshi as well. Really, I think Koji Miyamshi is too good to not be starting regularly, in my opinion. Which, with the exception of on Boxing Day, doesn't really seem to have been the case. But yeah, Jay Stansfield would be my answer. So, how about you?
I had to really think about this one because we've been just getting better and better and better throughout the year. There are some great contenders. I think some of them though just plagued by injury. Like Alex Moreno, I think, would have been a heavy contender, but he only really played half a season. John Duran's not really played enough to be in contention at all, and the rest were all signed in the summer. So I'm going to go with Pau Torres, a player with quite a bit of profile. So I think everyone was expecting him to be good, but the way that he was sort of thrown in when he wasn't meant to be because of Tyrone Mings' injury, and he did take a couple of weeks to sort of adapting up to the pace of the Premier League, but we really noticed when he hasn't played in the last couple of games, he's had to become a real leader in that team, which, you know, to come straight in and to have to take in a big role to fill, I think he has been absolutely fantastic, and he's exactly what we were hoping we were going to get from him. You know, Moussa Diaby started really, really well, but he's just lost a bit of form and he's been on the bench a lot recently. And, you know, when you compare him to the way Leon Bailey has really found form, you can't really give it to him. Yuri Tielemans was finding his feet and he's just got injured. So, and Nicola Zaniolo hasn't had enough game time. So, Pau Torres, I think, for definite.
Do you think he's going to keep Mings out full stop?
It's hard to say because I think in January we'll have to go in for another right back because, you know, it's fair enough if, you know, Emery doesn't want to play Matty Cash in some of the tougher away games in particular or the tougher home games. But there's just something about Diego Carlos that I can't quite put my finger on. He's a bit error prone. I don't think he's as good as everyone was maybe hoping he was going to be. And I think so if Tyrone Mings was to come back as he was right now, I think with everyone fit, it'd be the back four would be Konza, Mings, Torres, and then either Dino Moreno. So I don't think Pau Torres keeps Tyrone Mings out. I think he keeps Diego Carlos out.
Cool, fair enough. And moving on then we're going to pivot to the negatives.
Yeah. What was your low point of the year, Dan? What was the worst game that made you feel like British?
I've got written down, I mentioned towards the end of February last season where we kind of, I think people forget we went on really quite a bad run. I think it was 9 out of 11 or 12 games we lost, and it culminated with, we lost to Luton, who obviously got promoted, were having a good season. But it was like, you know, when you've just lost that one game too many, and things feel really bad. But we recovered from that. I went to a game against Blackpool at the end of last season where we lost 1-0, and I think Neil Etheridge had an absolute howler and gave the ball away, and we lost 1-0. That was just like end of season, like stinker.
Yeah.
The Rotherham game the other week, the 0-0, kind of, I know it's 0-0, we didn't lose, but I don't know how we didn't lose. We were very poor. And I think kind of summed up a feeling that the ring thing as of yet really isn't taken off. And then the Coventry game, was that after that? Yeah, it was a week later, where we lost 2-0. That was a howler as well. Like, I don't think it's just recency bias. Like the Stoke game the other night was yeah, it was like a new low, I thought. And as I mentioned, coming after like an improvement in the few games before that, I think, yeah, like it's a combination of things. The atmosphere was really not up for it. I'm not criticising the fans there. I mean, because of how poor it was on the pitch. I think the fans really struggled to get behind the team, myself included. And it was everything. It was kind of tactically a bit naive. I looked at the setup and how poor we've become defensively, and I kind of wonder what exactly Ashley Cole and John O'Shea are coaching them on, and what's happened there for it to go so bad so quickly. I'm watching players that I like as players seeming very uncomfortable and not quite knowing what they're doing. But for example, John Ruddy and Dion Sanderson look really confused at the minute. Really poor goals to give away, all three of them. Yeah, just a really tough game all round. And it was really said in his, I like some things he said in his interview. Like he said, it's not good enough, and the staff, the players have let the staff down, they've let the fans down enough. I like to hear that. The one thing he said though was, I can't question. He said I'm paraphrasing, but he said I can't question the work rate. But I think he can. I think he absolutely can. It was the first time. I'm not one to criticise. Like people watch football and they go, he's not running.
Yeah.
Like that's not how it works.
Yeah.
But like the other night, I really think the work rate could seriously be questioned. Yeah, like lack of movement off the ball, like just basics, like a closing down when they should be. Yeah, really poor. I think that was probably my low point, which is a shame because obviously we're almost ending the year on that. But yeah, I got to say the Stoke game from the other night was dreadful.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think, well, a contender is Man United on Boxing Day just because of the way we were in control and just threw it away, like we've done so many times against Manchester United. But I will go for Newcastle away on the opening day where we lost 5-1 because it was more than just the result. We'd had a good pre-season, but then we'd lost two of our key players to long-term injuries, one of them 20 minutes into the game, and then we just got absolutely pumped in the second half. And, you have all that new season optimism, and it in the space of 90 minutes, I was in the pub with my head in my hands going, I hate football. Why are we doing this again? So I'll probably go for that.
fair enough. Moving on then to slightly more positive things. Most improved player at your club.
I think for us it's an easy one. There's quite a lot of players who've improved a lot. I mean, people forget that 12 months ago John McGinn was not a starter in our team, and he only got in the team on New Year's Day because of an injury to somebody. It was probably Boubacar Kamara. So he's a great shout, but I'm going to go for Leon Bailey. I remember I spoke about Leicester away where Traoré scored that goal, and Leon Bailey had a terrible night, and he was on the pitch for about 80 minutes, and he really could have gone off a lot earlier. And people were moaning at him during the game, and it just almost felt like this guy's just not going to work for him at Aston Villa. Even though he played a lot last season to Unai Emery, just because we didn't have many options, he was like our only winger near enough. But he's been so good this season, so he's become undroppable in our team, and he's been absolutely fantastic. He's doing his defensive work, which he never used to do. And yeah, he's a threat every time he goes forward for us. So it'll have to be Leon Bailey. Easy. What about you?
Yeah, pretty easy one as well. Someone who in the Rooney era has undeniably consistently improved and gotten better and better is Jordan James. Not just at club level, internationally, he's been doing really well for Wales as well. I feel like at the minute he's kind of undroppable from the sort of more of a number 10 position, scoring a lot more goals, really good goals as well. His goal against Leicester was excellent. And yeah, he's been a real threat, and he looks just really up for it. He's a really positive player to watch at Blues, and a rare kind of real bright spark at the minute. I don't know if it's Rooney or any of the coaches there that have really had an influence on him, but yeah, he's been terrific. He's gone from being not really playing much at all and useless, to be fair, to undroppable at the minute. So yeah, Jordan James, how old is he now? Is that 19 still? Got a huge future ahead of him. If he keeps it up, I think he's going to be fighting off some Premier League clubs for him. I don't know if you think any Premier League clubs might come knocking for him.
It's always the way when teams come up in the summer, the top championship players, or at least the ones showing high potential, they either move to a team in and around promotion, or someone like, let's just say, I don't know, Leeds get promoted in the playoffs, or in Ipswich maybe, they take a punt. I can see it.
No, for sure, I do agree.
What was your most shocking moment of the year, Dan? It doesn't have to be a good thing, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but what was the most shocking moment?
Like if you told me a year ago Rooney would be manager, I think the fact that we've kind of done and again, I'm still behind. I feel like I've been quite negative in this episode, but I am still behind it. I still really want it to work, and there's still time for it to work. But the fact that we've kind of done the Zola thing again, in a way,
yeah,
in terms of sacking a popular like manager doing well when the club's doing well, but it's still pretty surreal to me having Rooney there. So that'd be my most shocking moment. I remember being at work and like you texted me and say we got to do a podcast tonight, and and that was what I was like, what's up? Because I'm not really on like Twitter or anything.
Yeah,
So I was a bit oblivious to it all. But yeah, so that'd be my most shocking moment. But a more positive shocking moment, the whole Tom Brady thing is just mad.
even though it's like a tiny minority stake,
still mad. Like I remember seeing the announcement video, which is brilliant, that Blues put out. And it's pretty cool still. I mean, I'm involved. So yeah, but yeah, the really thing has got to be one of the most shocking. How about you?
Couple of contenders. The 6-1 versus Brighton. Well, I thought we'd go and play well and probably win the game. To win 6-1 was a bit more than anything anybody could have seen coming. But I think I'll go for a slightly negative one, which will be Legia Warsaw away, where we lost 3-2. First game back in Europe, away day. So excited for it. And we lost 3-2. We were rubbish. We were really, really poor. Callum Chambers had a disastrous game. He wasn't the only one, in fairness. But yeah, that was like, you're going into a game with such a high and so much excitement, and for it to just not go anywhere near how you thought it was going to go, that was quite a shocking moment, really. Obviously, things have turned around in Europe since then, but that was an incredibly low point, I think.
Yeah, of course. How about, so we're going to quickly bomb through our starting 11 of 2023, and then we'll pick our individual best player of 2023. So yeah, across the year, if you have to pick a team of players that don't have to have been here for the whole year.
Yeah. As long as we're making a sensible formation.
Yeah.
Garth Crooks and Alan Shearer.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and the goalkeeper for us picks itself very easy, which is Emi Martinez.
Robin
No. So I've gone with... I was going to put Matty Cash at right back, but then when I really thought about the year as a whole, and I love Matty Cash, I do think he's a really good player, and he did have a great start to this season, and it has been forgotten about a little bit. But I do think back, he was in and out of the team when we had Ashley Young, and he didn't start a lot of those big games towards the back end of the season, and he sort of found himself out of the team again now. So I'm going to put Ezri Konsa at right back, and then that does allow me to put Tyrone Mings and Pau Torres as the two centre-backs. And then left back, I really could have had either of them, which is Luca Dino or Alex Moreno. I did go for Alex Moreno, but one of them has played one half of the season, and the other one has played sort of the other half of the season. So, and they've both been fantastic, and so I wouldn't be angry with either of them. Obviously, in the middle of our 4-2-2-2, we've got Luiz and Kamara. Again, picks himself. Douglas Luiz has been phenomenal. He's one of the best midfielders in the league at the moment. I don't think that is an outrageous thing to say. Right attacking mid, John McGinn. Phenomenal improvement. And he's become a linchpin of that team. I did go for Jacob Ramsey on the left. I know he's been injured and he's really struggled when he's come back. But no one else in that position has actually done anything better. Yeah. So he was fantastic in the run-up to us qualifying for Europe, so I've gone for him. And then I've gone for Bailey and Watkins up front. Leon Bailey's form and the important stuff he did at the back end of last year, along with Ollie Watkins, there are not enough superlatives for how good Ollie Watkins has been in 2023. Hopefully he can find that extra gear. If he finds that extra gear, my God, he's already a great player. He'll be an unbelievably great player in 2024 if he just finds that extra gear. So that's my team. Should I do my player of the year?
Yeah.
Player of the year, John McGinn. Again, was out of the team the captain, had all this sort of negativity around him having the captaincy, and he has scored so many big goals. He's dragged us through some games like you really need your captain to do, and he seems like an amazing bloke and a great footballer. And I couldn't be happier to give him my player of the year.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, it's hard to think where he was when Gerrard was there and where he is now. It's crazy, mad. Like, that Gerrard thing feels like so long ago.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking at.
It's surreal as well as Gerrard was the manager. In a bit of the way that Rooney's your manager.
Yeah. That's
And they are going the same.
I've been very critical. I laughed from a distance at the whole Gerrard thing.
Yeah.
I'm still back in it. Still turn around, but yeah. Yeah, my starting 11. So this is like kind of tough because obviously we've not had a great year. And it's mad how if I'd been asked to do this 11 a few weeks ago, it would be very different. No, not very different, but there's some players that would have got it a few weeks ago that don't now. So it is a bit of a hodgepodge because it's kind of hard to put together a team of that's not quite done it. But we have had some good players this year. So I've gone 4-2-3-1, which was kind of like Eustace's favourite formation.
Yep.
John Ruddy in goal, no brainer. Even though he's not had a great sort of second half of the year, he's the only one who can play consistently. Right back, Ethan Laird, no brainer. A lot of injuries, but he's been outstanding. Now my two centre backs. There's no Dion Sanderson, which may seem strange. Club captain, and it's harsh because there's been times this year where he's been great, but he's really struggled the last few weeks, and I think he's kind of lost his head a bit at the minute. I really hope he can get back to the level he was at, but yeah, I just can't. It feels harsh because I feel like there's players that have played a lot that have had bad periods lately that have had to drop, and he's one of them. But on another day, he could have got in. But I've gone for Austin Trusty, no brainer. If he'd been here for the whole year, he'd be my player of the year. Outstanding. He's in the Premier League now with good reason because he's an unbelievable player, and I think he'll be a US international regular before too long. And then my other centre back is Kevin Long, who has a lot of injuries and kind of disappeared a bit under Rooney, but he's been really solid for us this year. I've kind of gone more for players that have been really solid, even if it means they've maybe not played as much as some others. And I considered putting Trusty at left back and putting Dion in at centre back, but I've put Trusty at centre back because I do think that's his strongest position, and I've put Lee Buchanan in at left back. Struggled a little bit lately and not played as much as I would have liked, but on his day he is absolutely class, and I think him and Laird will come really good for us. My two holding centre mids, I've gone for Hannibal Mabry. That was from game, one of the best individual performances I've ever seen from a Blues player. And I've put Bakuna in at centre mid as well. Come up with some big goals. He can be frustrating, but he's a big player for us when he's on it. Kind of similar to Dion, I've dropped Bielik. Feels really harsh because I think he is technically probably our most gifted player, but similar reasons to Dion for dropping him really. Maybe a bit of a divisive one there. In the number 10 role, Jordan James, as I mentioned earlier, undroppable at the minute. Left wing, I've gone Suriki Dembele. Would have put Koji Miyoshi in, but he's just not quite played enough for me at all, really. But I think if he had played more, I think he'd undoubtedly be in. Dembele on the left wing. I've actually gone for, maybe not the most obvious one, I've gone Rida Kadra on the right wing, who was with us on loan from Sheffield United, I think, second half of last season. He was, I think people forget how good he was. He really was a bright spark in our team last season. And then I've gone for Joe Stansfield up front. That's my 11. Ruddy, Laird, Long, Trusty, Buchanan, Mabry, Bakuna, James, Kadra, Stansfield, Dembele is my 11. And for reasons I mentioned earlier, my player of the year is Jordan James. Even though he hasn't, first half of the year he didn't really play that much, but he's been here the whole year and he's gone from here to here.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's my player of the year.
Wonderful stuff. Hopes for 2024.
Yeah. It's tough, but I hope off the pitch things continue to improve, and I definitely think they will. Really positive about all that. St Andrews continues to, look like a real stadium. That's been a real positive this year. Hopefully the crowds continue to grow, and hopefully we improve it defensively. Hopefully the Rooney thing works out, and if we can finish even just mid-table, that'd be a huge. I'd be so glad with that under Rooney. That'd mean it's somewhat working, and build on it next season. Rooney maybe bring in a few of his own players. But yeah, it sounds so lame, but if we can get a mid-table finish and continue to just stabilise a bit under these owners, that would be an improvement, absolutely, on a sort of 12-month comparison, sort of this summer just gone to next summer. So yeah, that's my very, very, and hopefully kind of continue to build this philosophy under Rooney and be able to solidify it and get to work. Well,
No fear for
no fear football. We're going to look. I'm going to look very stupid if in a year's time, like Rooney's gone by like and obviously I hope not. And like Gary Megson will be our manager this card next year or something.
Pardew.
Yeah, probably. And how about you?
I think for us, it's just keep improving, especially away from home. Our away form, it's not terrible, but it is holding us back.
Yeah.
A real hope would be to win the Conference League. That's something I really wanted ever since we qualified for it, and I think that should still be probably our main aim for the year. Champions League qualification would be huge as well, but it's so... obviously, if we win the Conference League, it only gets through to the Europa League, as well as Champions League football, what that would do for the club, maybe even for the city as a whole in terms of some of that tourism. I mean, if we... Let's just say we qualified for the Champions League and had the group Newcastle just had, and you've got fans from Milan, Dortmund and Paris all coming to Birmingham. That's incredible for the tourism, and it's incredible for the club as well. But no one remembers who finished fourth.
No, that's true.
And the trophy is more, for me, the trophy is more important. It's just so important for us. And so that is my hope for 2024. Not just because I'm going to Athens regardless for when the Conference League final is on, which would be annoying if it's like Frankfurt Legia. But that's the hope. I hope we can win that.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, it's very realistic as well. Like, it's achievable, you know.
Yeah. But this is Aston Villa.
True.
We never do things the easy way.
Oh, tell me about it. Cool. If that's all good with you, Carl, I think that's just about everything, really.
Yeah, I think that'll wrap us up for today. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the Second City podcast in 2023. Don't forget to subscribe, and whatever you're watching or listening to us on, leave the 5-star review, because it does really mean a lot and it does help all the algorithms out. Yeah, thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, thanks for supporting us this year as we've launched the podcast, and hopefully we can continue to grow it in 2024. We do really appreciate it, and big thanks to everyone who had us as their number one podcast in their Spotify Wrapped as well. We do really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it was 8 of you.
Yeah,
that does mean an absolute lot, especially because we haven't really been, for a podcast that hasn't been out throughout the whole year. Yeah. That does really mean a lot.
Yeah, and in like less than 20 episodes, so we do really appreciate it. So yeah, see you in the new year. Have a great one. Stay safe. And
all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Shit on the Villa, keep right on, and yeah, see you next time.